Marsha P. Johnson played a pivotal role in the gay rights movement in America. She was a Black transgender activist, a drag performer, a sex worker, and even modelled for Andy Warhol. Many also believe she threw the first shot glass during the Stonewall Uprising. However, by her own accounts, Marsha didn't arrive at the riots until much later in the evening. This is the extraordinary life of one of the most important figures in LGBTQ+ history. Born Malcolm Michaels Jr. on August 24, 1945, Marsha grew up in a working-class, devout African-American family in New Jersey. At just 17 years old, she moved to New York City with $15 and a bag of clothes. After spending time with sex workers, Marsha came out and started dressing in drag. She was often seen in colorful outfits with flowers in her hair.
I was no one, nobody from Nowheresville until I became a drag queen.
Initially, her drag name was Black Marsha, but later changed it to Marsha P. Johnson, where she famously told a judge that the P stood for Pay It No Mind.
Pay It No Mind Johnson. Marsha Pay It No Mind Johnson. I originally started the name Marsha P. Johnson as a drag queen name because I used to go down to 42nd Street and everybody used to call me Michelle. And I was a little boy and I think that was a nice name for a boy. That's where I got the name Johnson from Howard Johnson's Restaurant.
In the early hours of June 28, 1969, police raided the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in Greenwich Village. Fed up of the unjust persecution and isolation, the queer community fought back. Alongside fellow trans rights activist Sylvia Rivera, Marsha helped turn that moment of resistance into a movement. A year to the day later, the first ever Pride March was held to commemorate Stonewall and demand for civil rights.
Because you never completely have your rights, one person until you all have your rights.
Marsha and Sylvia co-founded STAR, Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, a collective dedicated to housing and supporting homeless gay and trans youth, which was the first outreach of its kind. They paid the rent on the house with the money they made as sex workers. She worked to provide food, clothes, and emotional support, acting as their drag mother. Marsha claimed to have been arrested over 100 times and having been shot once during this time. During the height of the AIDS epidemic in New York, Marsha was diagnosed with HIV in 1990. She once again threw herself into activism by joining the AIDS group ACT UP. She dedicated her time to sick and dying patients, sitting with them on their deathbeds.
I'm even as long as there's people with AIDS and as long as gay people have their rights all across America, there's no reason for celebration.
At a time when gay bashing was rampant in New York, Marsha went missing. Her body washed up from the Hudson River the week after the 1992 Pride Parade. Despite the trauma to the back of her head, police ruled Marsha's death a suicide. However, those close to her suspected foul play. It was so crowded at her funeral that people had to stand outside the church on the street. Her body was cremated and her ashes were scattered in the Hudson River. In 2002, police reclassified the case as a drowning from undetermined cause, but the queer community was furious they would not investigate further. A decade later, the New York Police Department reopened the case into Johnson's death as a possible homicide. To this day, Marsha's case is left unsolved.
How many years has it taken the people to realize that we're all brothers and sisters and human beings in the human race?
Though Marsha's life ended tragically, her legacy stays on in the lives she touched. The queer youth she sheltered, the activists she inspired, the movements she helped ignite.